Adolf Hitler, one of the most infamous figures in world history, was born on April 20, 1889, in the small Austrian town of Braunau am Inn, close to the border with Germany. His father, Adolf Hitler, was a customs official, and his mother, Clara Hitler, was a devoted housewife. Hitler had a strained relationship with his father, who was known to be strict and demanding, while he was very close to his mother, who doted on him. Hitler did not do well in school, and his rebellious attitude caused friction with his teachers. He showed an early interest in art and dreamed of becoming a painter. However, Alois, his father, wanted him to pursue a career in civil service, which Adolf rejected. When Alois died in 1903, the family's financial situation worsened, but Adolf persisted in his desire to pursue art. In 1907, at the age of 18, Hitler moved to Vienna to apply to the Academy of Fine Arts. However, he was rejected twice by the Academy, in 1907 and 1908, which was a significant blow to his aspirations. During his time in Vienna, Hitler lived in poverty, staying in a men's hostel and occasionally selling his paintings. He grew increasingly bitter and began to develop strong nationalistic and anti-Semitic views, blaming Jews and other groups for his failures and Germany's problems. In 1913, Hitler moved to Munich, Germany, and when World War I broke out in 1914, he eagerly volunteered for the German army. He served as a dispatch runner on the Western Front, seeing combat in some of the bloodiest battles of the war. Hitler was wounded twice, including a serious injury in 1916 and a temporary blindness caused by a gas attack in 1918. He was awarded several medals for bravery, including the Iron Cross. Germany's defeat in 1918 was a devastating blow to Hitler. He, like many others, believed that Germany had been stabbed in the back by internal forces, including Jews, communists, and socialists. The Treaty of Versailles, which placed heavy reparations and territorial losses on Germany, fueled his resentment and provided a foundation for his future political ambitions. After the war, Hitler returned to Munich and became involved in politics. In 1919, he joined a small right-wing political group called the German Workers' Party, which would later be renamed the National Socialist German Workers' Party, or the Nazi Party. Hitler quickly rose to prominence in the party due to his powerful speaking abilities, which allowed him to captivate large audiences with his speeches about German nationalism, anti-Semitism, and opposition to the Treaty of Versailles. In 1923, emboldened by his growing following, Hitler attempted to overthrow the Weimar government in what became known as the Beer Hall Putsch in Munich. The coup failed, and Hitler was arrested and sentenced to 5 years in prison. He only served 9 months, during which time he wrote his autobiography and political manifesto, Mein Kampf, My Struggle. In the book, Hitler outlined his vision for Germany, which included the unification of all Germans, the exclusion of Jews from society, and the expansion of German territory to the east. Upon his release in 1924, Hitler rebuilt the Nazi Party, expanding its reach across Germany. The economic hardship caused by the Great Depression in 1929 created fertile ground for Hitler's message, as many Germans were desperate for change. Hitler promised to restore Germany to its former glory, end unemployment, and reverse the humiliations imposed by the Treaty of Versailles. In 1933, Hitler was appointed Chancellor of Germany by President Paul von Hindenburg. Once in power, Hitler quickly moved to consolidate his control. He used the Reichstag fire and arson attack on the German parliament as a pretext to pass the Reichstag fire decree, which suspended civil liberties and allowed for the arrest of political opponents. Within months, Hitler had established himself as a dictator, and when President Hindenburg died in 1934, Hitler combined the roles of Chancellor and President, declaring himself Führer, leader of Germany. Under Hitler's rule, Germany became a totalitarian state. The Gestapo, secret police, and SS, paramilitary force, ruthlessly suppressed opposition, while Hitler's government enacted laws that stripped Jews and other minorities of their rights. The Nuremberg Laws of 1935 formalized the racial ideology of the Nazi regime, classifying people based on their racial purity and discriminating heavily against Jews. Hitler's foreign policy was aimed at expanding Germany's territory. In 1938, he annexed Austria in the Anschluss and later seized Czechoslovakia. However, it was his invasion of Poland on September 1, 1939, that triggered World War II, as Britain and France declared war on Germany in response. Over the next few years, Nazi Germany rapidly conquered much of Europe. Hitler's military strategies, like the Blitzkrieg, lightning war, allowed Germany to defeat opponents with great speed. However, Hitler's invasion of the Soviet Union in 1941 and Germany's declaration of war on the United States after the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor proved to be strategic mistakes that stretched Germany's resources thin. During the war, Hitler's regime committed some of the most heinous crimes in history, particularly through the Holocaust, in which 6 million Jews were systematically murdered. Hitler's vision of a racially pure German empire led to the mass extermination of Jews, Roma people, disabled individuals, and other groups deemed undesirable. By 1944, the tide of war had turned against Germany. The Allies, including the United States, Britain, and the Soviet Union, began to close in on Germany from both the West and the East. In 1945, Soviet forces encircled Berlin, and Hitler retreated to his underground Führer bunker located beneath the Reich Chancellery in Berlin. In his final days, Hitler was increasingly isolated and paranoid, refusing to leave the bunker or face the reality of Germany's imminent defeat. On April 29, 1945, Hitler married his longtime companion, Eva Braun, and the next day, April 30th, as Soviet troops were just blocks away, Hitler and Braun committed suicide. Hitler took cyanide and shot himself while Braun consumed cyanide. After their deaths, Hitler's and Braun's bodies were carried outside the bunker, doused in gasoline, and set on fire by his aides to prevent the Soviets from capturing them. However, Soviet forces later discovered some of Hitler's remains and took them to Moscow. For years, rumors swirled about the fate of his body, but it is believed that the remains were eventually cremated and scattered in secret. Adolf Hitler's legacy is one of unimaginable destruction, cruelty, and genocide. His ambitions and ideology led to World War II, which resulted in the deaths of over 70 million people, and the Holocaust, one of the darkest chapters in human history. Hitler's rise and fall serve as a reminder of the dangers of totalitarianism, unchecked power, and the devastating consequences of hatred and intolerance.